Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to do an inverted chunky rib stitch hat beginning to end. And I am using, for this hat, it's a preemie newborn size. And I'm using the smallest circle loom with all the pegs in it in the Knit UK circle set. This is how they come, and you get a bag of pegs and you can do it with or without the extra pegs. This one I just wanted to be able to show you how tight of a stitch it does. So this pattern can be done on any circle loom with any number of pegs and any gauge. You just have to use the correct yarn weight for the gauge you're using. This one with all the pegs in it, I'm just using a worsted. And I'm actually using Red Heart, Super Saver, and Blue Fleck, Spa, Blue Fleck. I just like the little, you can see like the little, like different little pieces in it. I just think that looks kind of neat. And of course this is a size 4, which is a worsted. Now what we're going to do here, I am doing a chain cast on 7 rows of a single rib stitch, and then 25 rows of the inverted chunky rib stitch. All of this is just variations of your E-wrap knit stitch and your purl stitch. Okay, so we're going to start with a chain cast on. To do a chain cast on, you can just start with a pull string. Let me zoom in a bit here. Start with a pull string. Yep. You put it behind a peg and you take that working yarn, tie a loop. Depending on the yarn, sometimes your knot will want to stick a bit. This one with the little flecks in it, it'll stick just a little bit, but it's not too bad. So once you have that, you take the loop, put it around the second, and you pull the working yarn through it. And you take her on the next one, pull the working yarn through, take her on the next, pull the working yarn through. This is a variation of the crochet chain cast on. It's just done without using the crochet hook, which I'm trying to kind of show you real quick how to do this. If you're having trouble, I do have a separate video that will show you how to do this stitch. Do this all the way around. When you're all the way around, you're back to that first peg. What you're going to do is you're going to take that loop, put it on that first peg, and tighten it up. Now that one will have, that peg will have 2 loops on it, the rest will just have 1. But this is what, you can see the chain going behind the back of the pegs, and there's the front. Now once your cast on is done, for the brim, it's a single rib stitch. So what that is you E-wrap 1, purl 1. So I'm going to kind of show you, just make sure you're familiar. Which the yarn is coming from this one, we'll E-wrap that peg. And we will purl this peg. E-wrap the next. Now I'll kind of show a close-up of the purl stitch if you're not familiar with it. You put the yarn down through the top of the loop, pull the working yarn across, pull it up, and you get this new loop. Now you take that old loop off, scariest part of that stitch. You put that new loop on and tighten it. And then we got an E-wrap. I'll do one more. Down through. Pull that yarn up. So there's that loop. There you go. So E-wrap 1, purl 1, E-wrap 1, purl 1. That is your pattern all the way around. And you're going to do 7 rows of that. Once those 7 rows are done, this is what that will look like. Now for the body, I'm just going to show you all this in one step. But for your body, how you do that, I'm going to push all these down. We're going to ignore that. This is an inverted chunky rib stitch. So all this is you E-wrap 2, purl 4. E-wrap 2, purl 4. And you do that all the way around. Now for this one, due to the number of pegs, you will end with your purl 4 and an E-wrap 2, but that puts you right at your first 2 E-wraps. So you'll have one rib that's chunkier than the rest. You can, if you're on a different loom, it will turn out differently, but I don't think it's a big deal. It's just the one. So to me, I'm just leaving it like that. But just so you can see kind of what that would look like, we got E-wrap 2, and then you got purl 4, you'll E-wrap 2, then you'll purl 4. You'll do that all the way around. If you're using the same type of yarn and this is the size hat you want to make, then you'll do 25 rows of that. Now I'm not giving exact numbers for the rest just because your yarn and everything, which I explain that later, it will make a big difference in how it turns out. Once your hat is as long as you'd like for it to be, which this one would be like a preemie sized hat, and I got my 7 rows for the brim, and the body of it was 25 rows. Once you get it as long as you want, then we'll do the cast off, which I'm going to do a simple variation of the pull string cast off. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your working yarn and wrap it 2.5, maybe 3 times around the loom and cut, just so you have enough yarn to work through for this cast off. So you go and you pull, take your hook and you pull the yarn up through, and then you pull up through 2, then you're going to go behind the next 2, pull it up through the 2 after that, and go behind the next 2, and you repeat this all the way around. Once you go all the way around doing the through 2, skip 2, through 2, skip 2 pattern, and you're back to your beginning, this right here may look a little different depending on how many number of pegs are on your loom. See, this one I went through these 2, and then here's the 2 I skipped, but these 2 were my first 2 I done. So what I'm actually going to do is skip all 4 of those. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want those 2, I don't want to go ahead and go through those 2, since I just went through those, because it'll cause a bulky spot in the cast off. And now you're just going to go through, and you're still going to be going to go through 2, skip 2 pattern, but what you'll be doing is actually picking up all these ones that you didn't get that first time around. Oops. And then you skip through 2, which those 2 are already done from that first time around. Go through 1. Go through the second one. Take it behind these 2. And we'll go through those, and you're going to do that until every single peg on the loom has been went through. Once you're all the way around, then you just take everything off the loom. And this is what it's going to look like. So now you just take this pull string. You got to remember the string, it went around it twice. So you're going to have like that first loop the last loop you did is going to want to tighten up first, and then you'll have to tighten the rest up, or else you'll end up with these big loops like that. So it takes a moment. So what I do is I kind of tighten it some, then loosen it back up, then retighten it, and you do this until it gets all of the strings. And you got to be careful because some yarn that you use will break if you pull too tight, and if that's a problem, if you're using a yarn you're worried will break, just for that cast off part, run a different yarn through this. There we go. Alright, and I'm going to pull that string down through the middle because it's easier to hide that way. And then I'm just going to pull it completely tight, trying not to break it. There we go. Alright, and this is the inside of the hat. Here is the outside. Of course, this is like a preemie size hat. And what we just done with that cast off, if we would have just done a regular pull string cast off that went through every single loop, we'd have a bit of a knot up here. But doing it through every other one, what that did is that took like half the bulk out, and it did half of it down here and half of it up here. So there's like two separate cast offs kinda, and that flattened it out. But there it is. Alright, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Any comments or questions, please leave in the comment section below. When sizing for different size hats, you got to remember, I do the brim just the 7 number for any size hat. The body is what will change. And with these looms, if you do it as they come without the pink pegs in, you're going to use a size 5 or size 6 yarn. It will knit up a lot faster, and it'll be a lot bulkier. So with every single peg in, you'll have to do a lot more rows, and it'll be a lot tighter. As you can see with this, it's a very, very tight knit, which is, it's really nice. It's a very tight knit. I love the gauge of these, because it is a good gauge for your worsted weight yarn, which is like your number 4 yarn. With the number 4, it's real thick. You probably even use like a number 3 single strand to do hats on this and not really have an issue with that. So your gauging will vary depending on how many pegs you use, the yarn you use. So I'm not going to give you an exact number for the body of the hat. Like this one was 25 rows just for the body past the brim, and you can see it didn't make it very big. That's why I'm saying this is like a newborn or preemie hat size. If you're using a bigger loom, bigger yarn, then there'll be a difference. I did want to show you at this part right here, I actually had to do 4 E-wraps together. I had 2 E-wraps to start, and then when I came back to the last 2, I was at my E-wraps again. So there is, right here's where it is, there's going to be one thicker chunk right there than the rest. As you can see, the rest are thinner. Me, I don't see that as a problem, especially if it's like a baby hat or something like that. If you don't like that, every once in a while, like you can do E-wrap 4, purl 4, E-wrap 2, purl 4, E-wrap 4, purl 4, E-wrap 2, you know, do a pattern like that around, or you can just leave it like that. Not all the looms will turn out that way. It just depends on the number of pegs. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. Again, any comments or questions, leave in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.